Hello to Pioneer viewers. How are you doing? I hope you're healthy and well. As the Pioneer, we are here again with an interesting report. Today, I will tell you about the developments regarding the heavy blow the Russian Air Force has suffered in the recent days. As you may remember, drones belonging to the Ukrainian army recently entered the Russian borders and carried out a series of operations in the Rostov region. The target of this operation was a critical airbase. One of the fighter jets and the airbase was destroyed by the attacks of the Ukrainian drones, and the others were damaged. In recent days, the sources of the Ukrainian armed forces have shared a very striking report with the public. According to these reports, the Russian Air Force lost 3 fighter jets in just one day. Moreover, these fighter jets are known as the most advanced fighter jets owned by the Russian Air Force. So what are the developments related to the great loss of the Russian Air Force? Let's take a look together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring the Russia-Ukraine war to your screens. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. I'm also reading all your comments on our videos. These comments motivate me a lot. Thank you for your comments. Let's start if you are ready. The Pioneer report. According to the open source intelligence report, the Russian Air Force has so far destroyed 21 Su-34 attacks aircraft. That's a pretty serious number, especially for a country that's actively at war. We'll talk about why that's a serious number. Firstly, let's look at the incident. Recently, Mykola Olekchuk, commander of the Ukrainian Air Force, made statements. According to these statements, the air defense systems in the inventory of the Ukrainian armed forces shot down 3 Russian Su-34 fighter jets in just one day. Information about the downing of the fighter jets could not initially be confirmed. However, local sources have come forward with allegations confirming the statements made by the Ukrainian Air Force commander Olekchuk. According to the allegations, these fighter jets were shot down in the vicinity of the Kherson front line and other points where the war was escalating. What is the active mission of these fighter jets there? Of course, to protect the Crimean Peninsula. Of course, this requires maintaining stability on the Kherson front line. As you know, for some time now, the Marines of the Ukrainian armed forces have been conducting hit-and-run attacks on the Kherson front line. The purpose of these attacks is also mentioned in our map reports: to wear down the units of the Russian armed forces stations in the region. In this way, the Ukrainian armed forces are preparing to reach the Crimean Peninsula in the next offensives. As you may recall, in the past days, the Ukrainian Armed Defense Minister claimed that the Crimean Peninsula would be captured in the next offensive. Therefore, the Russian Air Force is carrying out offensive activities in the region in order to take precautions against this situation. The primary goal is to target the Ukrainian armed forces positions in order to prevent the Russian armed forces stations in the region from suffering losses. This is one of the reasons for the halt of the Ukrainian advance here. As you may recall, the Ukrainian army was advancing in this region. Russian sources repeatedly appealed to both the Russian war leadership and the Russian leadership, asking for air support and fire support. Probably, the Ukrainian side followed this process quite seriously because, according to the allegations, the air defense systems that shot down the Russian warplanes had not been deployed in this region before, and the air defense systems had been deployed in this region recently. Russian sources also confirmed the claims that the warplanes were shot down by the MiM-104 Patriot air defense systems of the Ukrainian army. However, Russian official sources have a different opinion because Russian official sources claim that the warplanes in question were shot down by friendly fire. From this, we can draw the following conclusion. It is a great success for the Ukrainian army to shoot down Russian warplanes. Moreover, shooting down 3 fighter jets in one day is a very serious situation. Therefore, Russian sources may want to hide the successes of the Ukrainian army by claiming that the planes were shot down by friendly fire. As we have just mentioned, we have left behind a day of a great loss for the Russian Air Force. We have also mentioned in our previous reports, the sanctions Russia is facing is also affecting Russian aviation. Recently, reports have shown that the losses suffered by the Russian civil aviation have increased with the increase in the sanctions against Russia. The Russian military aviation is probably also affected. We believe that the Ukrainian military will use more air defense systems to inflict heavier blows to the Russian Air Force. According to the international sources, the active deployment of Western air defense systems, including Patriot air defense systems, in the region has created a very disturbing situation for the Russian pilots. For this reason, Russian Air Force pilots are allegedly reluctant to carry out operations in the Ukrainian and conflict zones. However, it should be noted again that these are still allegations, as it's thought that the effects of this blow to the Russian Air Force will continue for a long time. Of course, there is also the infantry warfare dimension on the front line. As we have frequently stated in our previous reports, problems between the Russian soldiers and the Russian commanders have been going on since the beginning of the war. Rotations, rewards, and other problem-solving mechanisms are not working. Most of the Russian commanders are not liked by the Russian soldiers. Again, another problem between the Russian soldiers and the Russian commanders has emerged recently. Moreover, these problems were expressed by the two Russian soldiers on the television channel. The identities of the Russian soldiers were concealed for their duties and they were given code names. One of these soldiers is a military driver, code name Alexander, and Alexander made the following remarks about the Russian commanders. The vehicles they gave us are buckets that are used by force. They don't have any qualifications. They made us too many decisions that could put us and my friends in the line of fire. They are driving us to the front with faulty equipment. This is not right. We risk losing all our friends, but no one hits our warnings. Another Russian soldier, codenamed Ivan, is an active soldier on the front line. His statements about the situation in question are as follows. When I first went to Ukraine, I considered myself a patriot and wanted to fight for Russia. But after seeing all the pros and cons of our army, I think the Ministry of Defense has some work to do. I actually came voluntarily. I could have run away, but I didn't. Sometimes I regret it. God, I wish I'd never come. Many of us feel that we are not soldiers but the slaves because there is no time limit for us. We don't know how long we will be here. The longer we stay here, the less chance we have to go home. What do you think? Do you think the blow to the Russian Air Force will affect the war? Do you think that the losses of warplanes by the Russian army will give the Ukrainian army the opportunity to advance? What impact do you think the statements of the Russian soldiers will have on the Russian public opinion? Let me know in the comments. I read and care about all your comments.